Hey, welcome back to my channel. Good evening, good evening. Today we're going to add another addition to the Carnival newbie series, and the subject today is going to be how to prepare you for your very first carnival jump. Now, this video is not going to cover every single little detail that you need to consider when preparing for your first jump. It's just a general guideline, but I would highly encourage you to hit that subscribe button so you can continue to keep track of my next videos. My subsequent videos will include subjects such as tips for selecting your mask band and tips for selecting your costume and other subjects that will come up as we go. Okay, so the very first thing that you need to consider when preparing for your very first jump is to, 1, plan well in advance for your very first carnival jump. Once you get a couple carnival jumps, once you get the flow of how things go, you can probably start to, plan a little bit closer. But for your very first jump, I highly recommend that you plan this well in advance. I want you to treat your very first carnival jump like you're preparing to run for a half marathon. You register for your half marathon 3-4 months out in advance, and then you train leading up to your very first half. That's how you should treat your carnival. And the reason why is that there's so many things that you need to take into consideration, such as lodging, transportation, bets if you're going to go to any of them, how you're going to get there, how you're going to get around, your outfits, your accessories, and even time to even just get cardiovascular endurance for that. You want to lead up to that. You don't want to just go to your first carnival. It can be very, very, very stressful when you have not been able to think out all the things that you need to prepare yourself for. And the most stressful part about carnival, to be perfectly honest with you, is getting there. You get into the state or whatever country you're going to go in, and it's pace, just getting there. And then you did all this preparing up to this one moment, and if you don't have all that preparation, all your ducks in a row, you're going to be stressed out to the max, and it may potentially make your experience not as enjoyable as you would like. So please, by all means, plan well in advance. I can't tell anybody how far out they should plan for their first jump, but you have to bear in mind other factors such as when are the bands going to release their costumes, when are the costumes going to be available, are they going to have costumes in your size, things like that. So when you plan well in advance, you afford yourself the opportunity to have access to all of the things that you should possibly need to make your first jump very enjoyable. 2, consider finding someone that is experienced to go with you. They are not your babysitter. You are a big boy, you are a big girl. However, having an experienced mask creator to go with you on your first jump will help mitigate some of that stress. You'll have that one partner that will go out with you that will, give you tips and tricks on how to tie your wire bra, secure your costume, even tips on how to get into fetes, tips on how to do all of that stuff. Even how to keep yourself from getting dehydrated. They know what to do, what not to do, and they can transfer that knowledge onto you. And it's also nice to have a friend or someone that you really trust to be out there on the road. And you can have a good time jumping by yourself, but the vibe is also there when you have a friend or a trusted partner to elevate the vibe with you. So by all means, consider finding somebody to go with you. And if you can't find somebody, it's not the end all be all. You will probably find me on the road somewhere. 3, attend the band launches. Band launches are very important. As we go through the years with technological advancements, a lot of bands are starting to do virtual launches. Those are nice because you do get to see the costumes, but a band launch is really important because you're going to get the overall vibe of the band. The presentation of the costumes will tell you a lot about, how the band feels. Does their presentation make them feel like you want to jump with their band? Does their energy level match your energy level? You'll be able to assess yourself and how you think your fet style will be with the bands that present their costumes. Additionally, it's super important to attend the band launches because you will get to see the costumes, not on a mannequin, not in a photo, but you will see that costume in motion. And it's so important to see that costume in motion because let me tell you, if you see a model struggling in that costume, that means you're going to struggle. Okay, so it's very important to see how it flows, and it also helps you consider as to whether or not if this costume is wearable for you. Is this going to work for you? Is that model, is her coochie coming out of her panty? You want to see that, right? Because you don't want your coochie coming out your panty. So make sure you attend the band launches, get the overall vibe of the band, take a look at the costumes, take a look at the colors, right? Because once you get the band launch photos on the website, they go on Photoshop. You know what I mean? They blur out the girl's stretch marks and that tattoo she had and maybe that belly button piercing, right? But they also may change the colors of the feathers. And you don't want to get thrown off when you go to pick up your costume and you think that you're getting a certain color when it was just Photoshop and this was the actual color. So make sure you attend the band launch so you can also manage your expectations at costume collection as well. 4, talk to other masqueraders. Talk to them about the bands that are in your local area. Ask them what bands they recommend, but don't just ask them which bands they recommend. Ask them why, because you will have those die-hard masqueraders that will be with this band for life. Doesn't matter what that band has going on, doesn't matter what went wrong the prior year. They are die-hard masqueraders for that particular band, and so they may be partial. Ask them why, and you have to also bear in mind that, you know, the people that you ask, their fet style may be a little bit different from your fet style. So if you have a masquerader that recommends a band that's high energy and you're not high energy, that may not be the band for you. Additionally, word of mouth is everything when it comes down to the mass bands, right? You want to know about what's going on with these bands, you know, what troubles have they had in the prior years, how they do business, is their customer service good, right? Because mass bands are business. They should be giving you great customer service. And if you're spending that much money, you should at least get a heads up as to whether or not these bands are going to treat you right. Finally, number 5, build your endurance. Listen, I do not care what shape, size, height, and weight you are. I could care less. You're beautiful anyway. However, build your endurance, because I want you to have a good time on the road. If you feel like you can't, chip down the road, dance around a little bit or walk for more than half a mile without getting tired, by planning well in advance, you give yourself a huge opportunity to build up that cardiovascular endurance. And that's super important to the experience, right? And because you're going to get so caught up in the situation and the vibe and the energy and the music booming from the truck, you're going to forget. And next thing you know, you've left yourself susceptible to heat injury or just pure exhaustion. And you don't want to find yourself tanking out on your very first jump. So build your cardiovascular endurance, prepare yourself for a exhilarating but very exhausting experience. So those are my 5 big tips for preparing yourself for your very first jump. And like I said, this doesn't include it all. I'm pretty sure people are going to start hitting the comments below and they're going to be adding their own tips. I highly encourage you to read them because most of these people are experienced masqueraders and they've had some hard lessons learned from these tips. So by all means, continue to learn from other masqueraders. Look at this video. Also, if you do like this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm coming at you hot with some more content to prepare you for your jumps. So stay tuned and, have a great night.